I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. Hey, we're getting close to the end of this series. That's where I can put it. We started quite a little bit earlier. One of these days, YouTube will say back. One of these days, I'll do a YouTube live, and I won't tell anyone in chat. I'll just go ahead and do it and watch an entire anime series on there. Because, fuck it, dude. They deserve the same love. Hi, Invincible. Hi, everyone in here. But yes, guys, we are getting really close to the end of the series, I think, probably by the end of this week, which time we should be done with it. Not this week, probably next week. We should be done with it, which is surprising because it's been quite a lot of episodes. Quite a number of episodes. Controversial or not, remember that we are judging the anime as a medium. We are not judging the novels. We aren't even judging. We are bringing up the discussion elements that the anime is portraying, picking up aspects that we see in these characters and bringing them into today, such as therapeutic settings, what that means for these characters, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, those moments that you're uncomfortable with. Okay. Fuck, dude. But for real though, I think that this is quite an honest, F for him, dude. I think this is such an honest perspective as to like, I guess the overpowering nature that Rui usually sends out, right? Like, in general, guys, the way that we've seen him is we've seen him always like, feared for, right? So if you have other people with even higher martial arts classes, right? So for example, individuals that are black belts like actually deserve the black belts. None of these people that bought the black belts because they're like 4 years old and they can throw good kicks and all of a sudden they're a black belt. There are a lot of people that ruin it for the actual martial arts community out there. Will quite literally be able to pick up on your like sort of level of fighting just off of like being able to notice like less than 30 seconds of your movement, your speed, fighting, so on and so forth. Bro, I don't know what the fucking OVA is, Lil Orange. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what an OVA is. But we can probably watch it after this. I mean, as long as it's probably not disruptive to it, right? But yeah, I think that this is really, really important, not just in terms of like, I guess, presidents, right? Because the reason why I bring that up is like 30 seconds in a ring with Brady or with like anyone. I'm not going to even say Krace because technically you just had something happen, but anybody else, you'd be able to pinpoint like their accuracies, how strong they actually are. Can they throw their kicks and are they able to fight? So on and so forth. Getting beaten, you'll take 1 or 2 actions, after taking a really, really bad. Oh, okay. Well, we could probably watch it some other time. You could probably take a couple big things off of it, right? Number 1. Yeah, we'll watch the OVA after this. It's fine. Or something. Or, I don't know, dude. If it's even important, if it wasn't released with the entire 24, like, core series, if it's like a completely different thing, I don't know, dude. We'll see. It's like, not like I watched, what were those chibi shorts for ReZero? I watched like 2 of them, and then I'm like, where the fuck am I watching this? So, that's my overall thing. But anyway, yeah, so when it comes to situations like this, if you get your ass badly beaten, what you'll end up doing is you end up doing 1 or 2 things. You either succumb to it, especially when it's one of your first fights in MMA. Let me fucking bag on some of my fucking coaches or some of the coaches that I work with, which is like, you can train people up to be performance ready, but that doesn't mean that they're performance ready. There's a psychological, emotional element that also goes into being performance ready, right? So, with that being said, like, you can have like, for example, you can have a 6-pack abs, you can run like 10K marathons all day, but at the end of the day, that fight or flight, once it kicks in, if you're not ready to punch another person or be able to defend yourself, you're more than likely going to either run away or you're going to fawn, right? So it's fight, flight, fawn, or whatever. It's the best way I can put it. The OVA follows Eris while Rudy follows... Oh, that's cool. Not really sort of the next episode. I wish they would have put it as the next episode. I'll probably watch it at some point. But yeah, I just think that's kind of fucking funny. But at the same time, even in situations like that, how much can you hold back against like a skilled fighter? And that's sort of one of the biggest issues that we have in general, right? Like with all of these individuals, you can say that they're trained killers in that aspect, that they've actually taken lives. So how much is it for them to be able to hold back like that? And what does that mean for them? Aww. Aww. Bruh. Is he actually going to build, like, you know, people actually... So essentially, this whole thing is trying to disperse the myth that revolves around his name, right? Am I being right with that? Because that's sort of my whole thought process on this. It's like, for example, if your name was sullied, how would you go and clean that name up? You know, and even if say that your actions were cursed, you yourself are cursed, you have bad actions and whatnot. Like, you know, essentially anything you do, no matter how good it might be, people will always be like, oh, well, yeah, of course you have to do it. Who would want to be in contact with Lol Orange here? Well, like, look at him. Oh, look at those emojis he's using. Like, that type of mentality. No offense, Lol Orange. I'm just kidding. That personally. But yeah, like, okay, bye. But no, like, who would really realistically, you know, if society has this mindset, because let's be honest, it's happened quite recently. We don't even got to go that far. Like, quite literally picking groups of people that you're able to go ahead and target and say, oh, you shouldn't be able to trust them because of this. Oh, for example, one of the most obvious ones that people tend to use, well, more like his species, true. But species, race, however you want to frame it, I guess, right? It's important that we touch on these elements simply because of that. You know, like him being able to actually go out, like even if he has cut hair or whatever, but have that introduction of what his character is, right? Like his true character. I'm not talking about like character Rui. I'm talking about like what his character, his personal goals, his envisions, his empathy or sympathy, depending on which nature you're looking at, entails, and what that means for the future. Really, really important for making connections, really important for building rapport, right? Because at the end of the day, say that I talk to you guys one-on-one, right? Say that, like, Eldris is my best fucking friend in the world. He's an amazing individual, right? All of this shit. And all of a sudden, he hears, like, a random rumor from just generic people being like, oh, do you hear that he went ahead and did this? Eldris is less likely to believe that, you know, because of the interactions, the personal interactions that he's already built with me. If you guys don't know, this is one of the biggest styles of propinquity, and I know I bring this up. Here, let me quickly go here. Give me 1 second. So I know if we're going into this, we're going fucking into this, right? I guess I can do this. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to propinquity. For those of you guys who don't know, and you guys are wondering, wait a second, what the fuck does that mean? Really fucking simple, guys. If you guys have ever, I don't know, cheated or been cheated, or like cheated, been cheated, any of that, more than likely the case for that was propinquity. And you guys are like, wait, what? Yeah, what that means is quite literally the more time that you start spending with others, the more the time that they start viewing you in a better light. Even to the point where they start forming attachments with you, or you start forming attachments with them, right? So you guys might be saying like, wait, isn't like infidelity a part of that? Yeah, you can say like, hey, you know what, there's emotional cheating, there's different forms of cheating altogether. But the reason why this whole, like, you know, attachment, physical attachments, emotional attachments, psychosexual attachments, 101 different ways happens is because of some form of tribalism, some form of being next to a person for long periods of time, working on a project together, even on the phone. For example, being on Discord, it's also a form of propinquity. After a long time where you're talking to one another, you start building that rapport, and you start building expectations, these unverbal boundaries, unverbal guidelines that you guys are setting for one another, which is interesting. What I am really curious about, just going forward, and this is something that I brought up in episodes, I think it was 16 or 17, was Rudy supposed to be alive? Because that wording still haunts me, guys. Like, I was on my fucking trip. I was watching fucking Rent. I was, at the comic convention. All of this shit this weekend. And I kept thinking about it. Was Rudy supposed to be alive? Because the way that they framed it, it's like, just anime perspective, it's not psychological in the setting, in the sense, right? The parents act more like parents. Granted, they're so shit parents, don't get me wrong. Nobody's gonna be able to fucking defend them in that aspect, right? But they act more like actual parents to the younger two than they do to Rudy. Which is fucking weird to think about. It's weird to throw out there. It's weird to even imagine a situation like this. But in the story where you have gods, especially human gods that are like, I didn't fucking bring you in. Who the fuck are you type of scenario? Immediately, that's one of the big thoughts that comes through, you know? Anyway. I was just thinking that technically wouldn't, because when I brought up in previous episodes about, you guys were talking about beast people, right? You guys were talking about all of this like shit, which was an interesting discussion nonetheless. It was one of the most unique discussions I've had in a while. If I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't think you guys would go as in depth as you guys did, but you guys did. You guys mentioned that healing pretty much even goes up to bacteria level, right? Like, it can heal pretty much everything, which I brought up the point, hey, if you're really going to talk about beast people being alive, you have to worry about beast people STDs and all of this other side, psychological and emotional side of what beast people or hybrid individuals would look like, right? But in a scenario like this, would this just mean constant healing, or would it just be like a one and done? Right? My mind's just sort of trying to sort out what magic, what is the capacity of magic in this regard? You know, or what level of magic do you realistically need to have in order to be able to heal without, I don't know how to put it, like constant casting? Oh shit, thank you so much, man. Oh crap. Daniel Kruk, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like A+. Constant healing. Okay, the previous ship ride really had to constantly heal. True. Diseases would be more detox match. Detox healing magic, I just incorporated onto the same. I think after the last time on the boat, Eris asked Rudy to keep. See, that would sound exhausting, other than Roxy. Alan, aw. What I was going to ask you guys, and this is something that I'm sort of starting to see a little bit. Earlier in the whole thing, I think it was episode 4 because I watched it with Brady. We were worried about Sylvie being dependent on Rudy. Now that we get this continental shift and the whole ride back, are we not starting to see that power dynamic at play here? That is honestly the number one thing that I'm going to throw out there to you guys. Because what does it mean? ¿Qué lo que significa for people to go through this? You know, like... And for example, it feels like Rudy has taken on the role of like the navigator, the individual. Granted, you have Rudy sort of being the bodyguard, but like realistic setting. If Rudy wasn't there, how far would they have gone? They would probably struggle to go into cities. They'd probably struggle to do certain things because Rudy has taken on this role, right? He's trying to take on like all these different masks. At what point does that mask break? And at what point is it saying for others that like, hey, you know what? For example, if me, Brady, and Rosie all got teleported magically, boom, 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 we all got sent to a whole nother continent, you know, we're all there, and like, they're trying to find our way back. Brady is the commander-in-chief who's taken on that role, the responsibility and whatnot. And Rosie and I keep relying on Brady the entire time. At one point, there's going to be feelings of discouragement from either myself or Rosie Chen in that regard, because there's a weird power dynamic trip in that, you know? Like, how can I stand up and help get us home? How can I stand on my 2 feet to be able to do that? Especially when it's been months, years, or whatever, you know? What roles can I play in order for this to be helpful and heal this because at this point it's sort of like a family dynamic that's sort of going on, you know. And that's my whole reasoning behind this. It feels as though there's a major changing point in this dynamic that is coming, this family dynamic, actual dynamic, I guess you can say, that will shift. And it'll shift hard. It's probably going to be one of the moments that we actually see the power dynamic completely break, because it's been too solid. It's been way too solid in this whole show. Like, every single time that we see Rudy trying to set up a power dynamic, you know, or actually stabilize his environment, right? Because we tend to talk about this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, why it's important to have a good baseline foundation before you actually start to self-actualize. You know, we've talked about abuse. We've talked about different forms of SA and 101 things. But when it comes to actual dynamics of what it means to be in a family unit, even in your own family unit, think about it this way. What roles do you give yourself in your family unit? What roles do you play? I play IT for my family. Because for some reason, hey, he knows about computers. He can fix the internet. You get stupid fucking roles all the time. It happens. That's the whole point of a family unit. So something is bound to fucking change coming soon, because stability is not in the name of this young man. Being honest with you guys, every single time that he's been close to stable or stabilizing something that feels like home, he gets thrown out, or no, he doesn't get thrown out. He gets literally moved to a new job. Displacement incident, which quite literally it's a psychology term as well, to be displaced, you know. Father ends up hitting you and you guys end up in a weird fucking state. This now, you know, guys, this might sound fucking stupid of me, and yes, I am a little hyper because I've been taking a lot of monsters lately, but like this whole teleportation shit, this, because I've been working, I guess, under the assumption that, oh yeah, people were just teleported naturally, it must have been safe or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people were teleported in a safe environment, right? Oh, the mic acted up. Oh no. Here, let me check it out. Let me make sure I am good. Well, significantly, what I was asking about was, I was working under the assumption that people were teleported. Yeah, I peeked, man. I peeked. What can I say? Here, let me lower it just a little bit, just so that I don't. Okay, now we're doing good. But when people were teleported, I was, for some reason, under the fucking assumption that they were teleported to a safe location, right? How many people just died for falling in the water or drowning or like lava or whatnot? Also, why aren't people fucking searching underground? Like, straight up. Hey, yo, you know what? Send all the adventuring party, like, underground, under fucking, like, water, lakes, whatever. Dude, underground is dangerous. Please. Yo, I think that's dangerous as the demon continent, though, or is it just, like, normal monsters, you know? No spoilers, though. Yeah, welcome, Lays. Because there comes a point, right? There comes a point where you can search all over the world. It's sort of like when you lose your like remote or your phone, you know, and it's like right in front of you, or it might be like under like, you know, fucking papers or whatever. But you go crazy looking for it, but it's literally right under your nose, type of thing. So yeah, that's the best way I can put it. There's, I don't know, my mind's fucking speculating a lot now, but yep. You know, it's one of those moments where, as awesome as you are, you might have shitty friends and not necessarily know about them. I think this happens to everyone, you know, like you can be doing amazing in life, and sometimes you have for those friends that like reach out and you talk with them, and you guys are having this like go moment, you know, and then like you later on find out that they've been doing some really, really bad stuff in life, you know, and you're like, oh, like, you know, I wish that there was an opportunity to be more open or vulnerable and be able to help one another out. But sometimes, hey, life should be about you and your betterment in that sense. Oh shit, here we go. Yeah, I have a feeling like if she does go back with her parents are probably gonna be like, "Hey, about that boy, what's up?" But yeah, poor Roxy. I feel like there's been a lot of well, first off, there can be a lot of parental expectations. Let's be honest. Sometimes the expectations that our parents place on us are not fair, man. In any way, shape, or form. Depending on the culture that you're from as well, those expectations can be absolutely fucking brutal, dude. Like, be a doctor, common one, right? You want to succeed, you have to be a doctor, and it's like, but have you asked me what I want to do in life? Like, what I want to be, how I want to excel, you know, certain aspects like that. But yeah, like that's probably one of the biggest things that I definitely, I think it's important to always touch on and like be able to contextualize is like your parents' expectations should not be your own. Like, try and find out what you really want in life, unless that's what you really want. In which case, if that's what you want in life, sure, go ahead, knock yourself out. But if you're leaning yourself just on the expectations of others, how far is that going to get you? You know? It's not necessarily because be happy, right? Like if you're gonna throw out a random goal like that, what does that mean for you? What does it mean for you specifically to be happy? You know, for example, I love streaming to you guys because you guys are fucking awesome. But if I want to go ahead and stream with you guys and you know have my work and be a therapist and all of that, I have to be able to like choose the places and times that I'm able to do that, be in a healthy state to be able to stream, you know. So for me, being happy would be like, hey, you know what? I can be happy as long as I achieve this many a time. It's called making a smart goal, you know. So for example, you know what? I want to stop procrastinating as much as I do. So I'm going to go ahead and at least achieve 2 out of like 5 chores or 2 out of 5 goals that I have to achieve throughout the day. You know, achieving those is like the hey, you know what? I did what I had to do today. Did you take out the trash? Did you make your bed? Were you able to do certain things that like can fulfill those basic requirements, you know? But if you have the unrealistic expectations like, oh yeah, I'm going to marry Roxy. I'm going to marry Amelia. I'm going to marry this waifu 3000 or this VTuber, then yes, guys, you guys are setting yourself up for those unrealistic expectations. And yeah, not a good attitude. Oh.
たまにはまあ叱ったり喧嘩することもあるが、あいつらのためなら俺は何にでもなるし何だってする。親ってのはそういうもんなんだ。See,
but that's the thing, is there's a difference, right? And I hate that this like in today's society, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I don't give a fuck if I get flack out of this. In today's society, if someone puts their hands on you, call it what it is. You know, you can be like, oh yeah, that's just cultural terms, whatever. It's still abuse. If someone slaps you, you know, unwarranted, or punches you, or grabs your throat and starts choking you, or kicks you, or whatever, that's abuse. If you wouldn't do that to, like, you know, if you're like, oh yeah, but I was just disciplining my kid. If you wouldn't do that to an adult and you wouldn't do that to an elderly person, guess what? That's abuse. That's the overall thing. Because what you end up doing is, like, you know, with that being said, that's all a power dynamic struggle in there. That's all a whole thing of like having control, having power over or power under, which, as you guys know, can get extremely toxic really, really quickly. But to be honest, is he even a good father? Like Horseman here? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Knowing what he did previously, I wouldn't think so. Oh, let's go. Como todo el tiempo, sí. Oh, I'm so excited for you. See your parents get scolded a little bit for not coming back. Es por él, sí. But why? Isolationist behavior, guys. Let me throw this out there because I feel, yeah, F. You know what? I would say F for Roxy in this scenario, but there is a scenario like There's a difference. Is it self-exclusionary behavior because you feel like other people are judging you and you've never been able to clarify that, and you've never been able to maintain yourself in a social setting? Or is it because the F would really come if this is their own fault, you know? Yeah, well, that might be one aspect, but at the end of the day, hey, are you actually going to be able to talk to people? Because one thing is like, hey, you know what? For example, some of us talk in different languages, yeah? However, we're still able to communicate, even without knowing the other person's language, even through the knowledge of memes and memetics and what that specifically entails. You know, for example, if you put a Dorito on the chat, I know it's a self-care Dorito. I don't have to know English to know that. You know, if you put the lol sign, I already know that someone's laughing, so I'm gonna be laughing, you know? Communication is a two-way street. And especially when it comes to self-exclusionary isolationists. You can talk in memes, yes. Being born deaf and mute, she learned sign language, but not her village. But here's the thing, Masha Tank, even if you're deaf and mute, a lot of deaf and mute people still have communities and people that they reach out to, unless they self-exclude because of some traumatic self-reflection or thinking that they don't deserve to be there, i.e. I need to be mature because I don't deserve this title. I need to do this because I don't deserve this. It's a give and take type of scenario. And it's fuck English, we will communicate with stickers. And that's the whole point. It's like you can literally, for example, a lot of the big streamers, what do they communicate with? You just see a bunch of fucking memes flying up and down because it's an instant form of communication, and it doesn't matter what language you're from, the memes all basically mean the same, right? Bro, a community does not necessarily mean 2 or 3 people. A community can mean like anything above 2 people. 3, 4, 5, 6. Heck, Discord's a community. 10 people's a community, man. That's the best way to put it. Like, having more people allows you, like, even if 3 or 4 people, if you're in an improv group, that's your community. That is quite literally the people that you're set with. If you're not able to communicate with your improv group, if you're not able to communicate what your yes and is, that improv group is probably gonna fucking suck. Just straight up. Like, if you're not able to like agree on scenes, if you're not able to say certain things, that's why communication is so important, because a lot of aspects, a lot of the times that we push ourselves in, you know, a lot of the aspects that, like, for example, and I've noticed this a lot of individuals that are really, really into anime, and they're like, man, society just doesn't get me, and so on and so forth. Is it that they don't get you, or is it because you haven't done the attempt to be known or be understood? Because there are a lot of people out there that are shit. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. There are people out there that can be completely ruthless, unempathetic, quite sympathetic in most regards. But there are people out there that if you communicate your needs and you're able to establish your boundaries and be like, hey, I fucking love anime, man. Like it or take it. I play video games. I do this shit. What do you do? People will be open to communicate with you if you are open for communication in itself. Yep. But that's the best way I can put it. In a theater production, and any major production that you see out there, can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. If you don't communicate, shit's gonna go down. There are people that feel self-exclusionary, but at the end of the day, the majority of those individuals, they feel self-exclusionary because they're not reaching out. Because sometimes you have a lot of personal shit that's going on in your life that impedes you from actually reaching out. So that's all I got to say in that. Like, it is really important that you guys understand that even if someone, plot of like Metal Gear Solid 5, I guess, even if someone takes away your ability to speak, it does not take away your ability to communicate. Even if you have a superpower, yeah. Even if you have a superpower, right? Say telepathy. If you don't, like, if everyone has telepathy but you, and yet you're excluding yourself from communicating with others, you've literally taken away all opportunities for growth, for self-growth. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of written responses in this. There can be a lot of schema work to be done in that. Why is that? Is what did the parents teach them? Was there any way to go ahead and like do that? Was there any bullying? You can still mime. You can still do sign language. You can draw. You can do 101 things. The point is, communication is really, really important. I think there's a whole movie about communication. It's called The Silent Voice. If you guys haven't heard of it, goes a little bit into about why communication is important, different aspects of communication, even for those that don't necessarily speak the same language, trying to learn how to communicate. So, yeah, best way to go into it. Anyway, although I do have a question, and this is gonna sound fucking silly. I know we just went like 3 seconds in. So let me tell you why telepathy. Now, let me tell you why telepathy. Also, hi, I'm Alex. I really appreciate you being here. Let me tell you why telepathy might not necessarily be the best step power to have, especially if it's unscrupulous or untainted or uncontrolled telepathy. What happens when you're having sex, man? Do all your thoughts get shared to the rest of the community? Communication and boundaries, y'all. That's the best way I can put it. Or is it select thoughts? In which case, what the fuck? Anyway. Oh. Pobrecito. Sana sana colita de rana. Oh. Let's go. Oh. Oh, I was waiting for this. Let's go. Bruh.
本当に無事でよかった。しばらくここにいられるのよね。好きなだけここにいなさい。
Why are they some of the best parents that we've seen so far? I don't know her backstory so far. I gotta be honest, we don't know that much about like why she is the way that she is. So I'm not gonna jump the gun, especially in MT, because we all fucking know. But why are they actually kind of decent guys? You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that scene, specifically in a silent voice, when the guy is covering up his ears and everyone has fucking X's on their face, and this whole thing because he thinks everyone's fucking talking bad about him or talking shit about him. But guess what? Nobody fucking is. Really, for the most part, you know, and so he realizes, hey, I might have to communicate and face this world and actually be able to be there and communicate that those X's fall off. You know, best way to put it. Oh. Oh. Oh no, Roxy, why? Oof. Señora Roxy, ¿por qué? So there are some decent parents in this world. Wow, okay.
それが私のせいなんだということは気づいていた。念話が話せない私は異端者なのだ。だから私は
So realistically, in today's standards, yeah. And I know this is about to trigger some of y'all. I know for a fucking fact. Oh God. Okay, Brady, if you're there, grab your fucking seat, mate, because this might we might be in for a ride, man. In today's standards, if a child is, say, developing, right? I know, dude. What we're saying is essentially that she did not reach all of her developmental milestones. Yeah. A child is not able to walk, speak, do certain things at certain periods of time. They are not meeting the developmental milestones. And you cannot, of course, you cannot say that, oh, this is a parent's, whatever. This can be biological, sociological, all of that shit, right? But I'll go ahead and throw this out there. Not meeting those developmental milestones can be a potential trigger for immaturity and other points that are soon to pop out. So I wonder, and this is one of my big things out there that I guess I'll throw out in general. In case you guys are like, wait, why is it important? Hey guys, we're watching Mushoku Tensei, man. Yes. So in case you guys are wondering, if this is a commonality in this cultural setting, i.e. being able to speak telepathically by a certain age, by a certain moment, that is a cultural developmental milestone or milestone in present era, right? If we did any of the Vods R testing or anything like that in general, we might be able to go ahead and pinpoint out that, hey, you know what, maybe she does score a little bit higher on the Vods R. In case you guys don't know what the Vods R is, Vods R is essentially autism testing. Autism testing in general for you here includes social factors like not being able to properly communicate certain feelings, not being able to get along with certain groups, not being able to do certain things. Hello everyone, just saw that you stream, but it's 2 a.m. here. Have a good night, Shashokan. I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you. Hope you have a good night, man. Oh snap, finally get to catch a reaction. Only needed a complete digit. Actually, we did it a lot earlier than expected, Bill. But thanks so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. I know. We went live significantly earlier than expected. But yeah, so what I'm getting at is we all have developmental milestones, specifically like I think we can even point to Piaget or some of the other like big psychologists out there that list sort of what you have to hit by certain ages, and if you don't hit them, you're ready to go with the deficiency when it comes to communication aspects, social aspects, so on and so forth. If you start missing too many developmental milestones, tell me this: how will you start self-actualizing in the real world once you're out there? Anyone care to take a guess? Yeah, we're already at episode 18, man. Yeah, the ones on YouTube are a little delayed. It'll be fucking tough. Not only will it be tough, now you have a fucked up schema, a fucked up worldview that like, oh yeah, like you go out into the world, say that the world is way different than you imagined it, or say that you start making friends, but the friends that you do start making are only through a narrative. Yeah, or only through the narrative that, like, you see, i.e., for example, Horse Person. We know that he's an absolute piece of shit. So you start making excuses for people like this because all of a sudden, guess what? You don't want to see the outside world as the negative. You want to blame the inner world, your whole inner perspective. I.e., we're seeing that the family is very much of a caring unit. They're very much attentive to their needs. Know that there's some developmental, milestones that are not met, but they're still there trying to help Roxy out. Roxy, on the other hand, has sort of internalized this as a traumatic event, flipped it on its head, and has blamed the society and parents at hand. Does that sound familiar to a lot of fucking teens out there? Because that does to me. And it's not just that, Punyej. It's not just about being able to communicate on the outside. Because like, for example, even if you don't meet a developmental milestone, if you're still able to go ahead and say, like, even like socialization with other children, right? If you have other people that are like open and disposed in a social cultural manner, you're able to go ahead and start fixing that, start remedying that. That's the whole importance of being able to be open like that. Mom learned to speak to her daughter. I mean, yeah. People start to learn like the importance of that. Yes, but it's also projecting onto her parents, mate. I.e., if you, for example, if you ever gone, like, had issues, say, with yourself, like, you feel like you are not reaching your full capacity or that you're a disappointment. When you come home, say that, like, to parents or whatever, your parents are trying to talk to you and actually, like, really want to get conversation out of you as to how you're doing or whatever, and you're shutting them out. At this point, you are creating the physical, or sometimes even metaphysical, rather well said, wall between you and your parents, because at this point, even if you're putting that blame on yourself, in an aspect, it's also going on to them, because that wall is there. Because all of a sudden, you don't want to let people in, because it's scary. It's scary to let people in, you know? But yes, that's the best way I can put it. It's such a weird concept. And even as adults, man, that's what I was about to say. Even as adults, we all do this in some way, shape, or form. You get into a new relationship, sometimes it's fucking terrifying to be vulnerable. Being honest with you, especially if you've been hurt before, it can be really fucking scary to let someone in. And that's why you need to be comfortable and communicate and have your boundaries and all of this shit so that you can let people in to see who you are. And also not wear masks, guys. Because how exhausting is it to wear a mask everywhere you go? To wear the mask of the teacher, to wear the mask of the friend, To wear the mask of the individual that comes into Twitch chat some days, you know, to wear like so on and so forth. You're putting on so many masks. At the end of the day, when you're home alone and no one is there with you but just your thoughts, do you still have a mask on or do you take it off? And how does that look like for you? That is a genuine thought and question that I'll go ahead and throw out there to you. I am an anti-masker, Elise, in this regard. In this regard. But those masks can be pretty heavy, and I'll leave that question up to you guys. At the end of the day, when you go home and you're alone, there's no one else in the world but you and your bed and your thoughts. Do you have any mask on or not? And is that the point that you feel the most vulnerable? Because a lot of people don't like to be, like, for example, the reason why I say this is, now if you're sexualizing Roxy, like I feel a majority of you guys probably do, in some way, you might not necessarily be the best thing, because I feel like a majority of you guys, sexual, for example, we've already found out we did the Radzar testing on Eris. Eris has a really, really high Radzar score. We're doing, just based off of the developmental disabilities or milestones that she has not met, we can already tell that she'll probably have a pretty high Radzar test as well. So she'll more than likely be on the spectrum as well as we did for the other ones. Alan, see, I think for Rudy, in the order of importance, I think 1, 2, 3, just throwing it out there, I think it'd probably be like Sylphie, Roxy, Eris. In that order, I think. That's probably like, because there's still a lot that he needs to go ahead and recover from and go through and whatnot. That's probably the best order that I can give you, just because out of the situational awareness of like maturity, what it means to grow, what it means for like rupture and so on. Really, you fool. Ed, who do you think would be the other one? I feel comfortable wearing a mask, especially when I'm new. I mean, in new situations, we all wear masks, but it's like even with friend groups, when you go out to meet new friends, we all tend to wear masks. But when you actually get comfortable with them, i.e. with like, you know, with your best friends or whatever, how often are you putting on this fake mask of yours? That's the important. I'm starting the waifu war. No, I'm just saying, like, in order of growth for Rudy specifically, that might be the best order to attend it. You know? What do you think Rudy would need to become someone able to... Not a lot of introspection, to be honest with you. Sort of breaking the pattern, the cycle of pattern where he needs to step up and be the hero. First off, he needs to stop essaying people just in general, whether it's groping, whatnot, instead of start fucking maturing off of that. But yeah, it's normal to wear them in social situations, but what Brady is saying is correct. It's normal to wear masks in social situations, but there's a difference between wearing masks in social situations just for that like spare moment versus putting on mask after mask after mask after mask, depending on who's talking to you. That is where it needs to, a lot of work. And no problem. Anytime, guys. Start asking a bunch of questions. I feel like he has gotten better, Punya. She has started laying down a little bit more boundaries. Specifically, as we all saw on the ship, where he actually was able to restrain himself and go bust one out, you know? That's pretty good. That means he's improving. A+. That's wonderful. You know, that means that he's actually being like, hey, maybe I should take care of this myself and not necessarily push my needs onto others. Important. So I think that is a sign of a healthy growth. But to be honest with you, I feel like Rudy does need to go through a lot of heartbreak and a lot of self-realization, a lot of maturity. And for that process to happen, there needs to be some major aspects. But anyway. Aww, give her a hug. Aww, my heart, dude. Fuck. Aww. In case you guys are wondering, does that really happen? Yeah, it does. It does. Even in therapy sessions and whatnot, if people repress a lot of their emotions and shit, and you're actually able to bring it up in a session correctly, you know, you can actually get a lot of that, like, bridges that they built, like, you know, unknowingly, break it down, and all of a sudden there's all this flush of emotions, you know. It can be quite quite a lot. And if you guys are adults, I'll ask you this: when was the last time that you guys actually had time, for example, to play? And I don't mean just get on the computer and play games. I quite literally mean like play a board game, eat, do something outside of what is regularly expected of you. Because a lot of times as we start growing up, what we tend to do is we tend to kill off a lot of our, not creativity, imagination, child side, whatever you want to go ahead and call it, because we put all these restrainers of work. We have family. We have, we're adults. We shouldn't be acting this way. But why? When was the last time you painted? When was the last time you finger painted for that reason? When was the last time that you actually sat down and played a board game with your family, or fucking played tag with a random friend, or something fucking silly out there? The reason why I throw this out is because often what we tend to do, especially as adults and adults that go into counseling, what you'll find is there's a lot of emotions, and you'll hear this phrase a lot. I tend to put all my feelings in a jar. I tend to stuff my emotions in. They're all in here. And then when you start finding out this different, and then when you start picking out like, hey, but what do you mean by that? They let open that bottle. It's a lot of emotions start pouring out. That's what I'm saying, guys. That's one way to heal, as well as being able to have that self-talk, being able to do self-care, as I always say, being able to be there for yourself, guys, and grow. And for those new people that are here and wondering why I'm tapping my head, I got a random head bleed. Like, quite literally, I cut my head with something, so I'm like making sure I'm good and I'm not over bleeding or some shit. But anyway. Oh, best parents. Oh.
ほど前、ロキシーの弟子だっていうやつがこの村に来たぞ。
What are you bring it up, dude?
ルーデス君よ。そうそう、ルーデスだ。はい。あの子たち、もう家までたどり着けたのかしらね。あの子たちって他にも誰かいたんですか？
Bruh.
エリスちゃんって女の子とルイジェルドさんの3人で旅してた。ルイジェルドってのはスペルド族な。スペルド族。
Oh, she putting it all together? Oh.
交流が始まってな。ずっと怖い奴らだと思っていたが、これが意外に。ロキシー
Oh. Yeah, next time we see them, she's gonna bring him and their kids and everything. No, I'm kidding. I don't fucking know, guys. Rudy, may I call you father-in-law? That's exactly what I was thinking, Alan. That's why I was like, yeah, next time they see him, they're probably gonna be married or some shit. Some silly shit like that. That's a joke, dude. Damn. Ugh.
またどこかで会えるはずです。またエリクの街はまだまだあるんです。今まで通り一つずつ回っていきましょう。
Guys, please don't tell me that this show ends up being like a weird harem type thing. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? There's some animes where that's like sort of the thing. Is this that anime type of thing? No, don't spoil it. I don't fucking want to know. I don't even know where the fuck I asked this, guys. I think it's because they already showed sort of like 3 potential love interests, and automatically my brain goes, oh, of course it's going to turn into a fucking harem in some way, shape, or form. So it would be a spoiler. Yeah, that's what I thought, dude. That's all. I'm like, don't fucking spoil it, guys. We don't know. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah. But hey, if it is, if it doesn't, if it does, I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. How are you guys doing? You guys doing okay? Let me quickly have a quick session to go ahead and like just make sure I'm good on my side. Are you guys doing okay? Let me know. Let me know if you guys are doing okay. If you guys are still hanging in there. If you guys are going in strong.